Hi friends, my name is Dr. Kabir Sardana. I'm currently working as a professor in dermatology at the RML Hospital, Delhi. And I've done a lot of work on this topic on dermatophytosis, and I put all my knowledge into this particular book, which is in a second edition. The book is titled Fungal Infections, Diagnosis and Treatment. Today I'm here to give you a brief overview of the book and what you can expect from this. Let me just begin with the first 4 chapters of the book. I'm going to give you an overview of this book. So there are 4 chapters which are important. One is of course an overview, introduction to fungal infections. Second is a topic called immunology and pathogenesis of dermatophytosis. Number 3, lab diagnosis of fungal infections, and of course, lastly, we'll cover superficial fungal infections. So let's begin with the first topic. This first topic covers common infections. We've given tables in this particular chapter to give you the summary of therapy, and I've also given you photographs for making you understand this topic easily. So I'm going to answer some few very simple questions that come to mind on these topics. Let's come to the first question. First question, of course, is what are the ancillary measures after a child has been given treatment for tinea capitis? Now, after you give therapy to a patient of capitis, what's important is to prevent recurrences. So the first thing you should do is look at familial screening, that is, look for the infection in the family. And the tonsillant infection usually has that problem. Number 2, clean all the fomites, that is the objects that the patient uses, especially combs. Never give steroids to tinea capitis. And then of course, people often ask about shaving. Yes, you can perform shaving, you can remove the scalp hair again initially and after 4 weeks. Now one more very important question is what is the measures you can do for tinea ungum? Well, beyond medical therapy, you can do mechanical reduction of the tinea ungum mass by using filers, pliers, sanding it in, or of course use non-surgical methods like 40% urea, lasers, PDT or iontophoresis. Now moving to the next question, how to prevent recurrences of onychomycosis? Well, beyond giving medical therapy, the first simplest thing you can do is to prevent tinea pedis, because that's the most common cause for onychomycosis. Number 2, always apply the powders on the toe webs, because that's where the fungus comes from. So giving a topical antifungal cream for about a year, twice weekly, really helps. And most of us give terbinafine cream. It's pretty well for this, does very good for this. And of course, the next question is how to prevent recurrences of pityriasis versicolor. Now, to prevent this condition, the simplest thing to do is to use topical ketoconazole shampoo as a lotion applied on the neck, trunk, extremities 10 minutes before showering. And of course, the next point is giving an oral monthly dose of common antifungals, which are of course oral ketoconazole 400 mg 1 stat, fluconazole 400 mg 1 stat, or itraconazole 400 mg 1 stat. Right, the next topic that I'm going to cover is paronychia, which is a very common problem that you see in housewives. Now in the case of paronychia, apart from medical therapy, you can give topical steroid antifungal ointments. So this is one condition where you do require steroids. Number 2, avoid wet work by wearing waterproof gloves, especially gloves that have got a cotton lining inside. There are 3 topical agents that have been tried. One of course is amphotericin B gel, available in our country. Second is a very cheap preparation called gentian violet, 1% alcoholic solution. The agents tried are tacrolimus ointment, 0.1% to be applied twice a day. And there are 2 antifungals tried, itraconazole 100 mg daily for about 2 months or fluconazole 100 mg daily for about 2 months. The next thing that I've covered in my book is cutaneous candidiasis. This infection is commonly seen in the skin and nails and caused by the Candida fungus. Now, apart from the medical therapy, what are the other measures? You can use a simple handheld hair dryer on a low heat at least once a day for drying these areas, and also wear loose fitting clothes, and also have a good air conditioning, especially in a country like India. And also apply medicated powders like nystatin or miconazole based powders to those areas. Apart from this, I've also covered some very important commonly seen systemic fungal infections in my book. And remember, there are 3 drugs that are tried in these conditions, and please know the doses. Fluconazole 50 to 100 mg daily for 14 days or the once weekly dose, but in our country the former works better. Itraconazole 200 mg twice daily, again for 14 days. This can be used in this condition, paronychia and candidiasis. Come to the next part of this book, that is subcutaneous mycosis. Now, this is not commonly seen in our country, but I'm going to cover this in this book. I've covered 4 or 5 important conditions. The first, of course, is mycetoma, which is very commonly seen in our country. then chromoblastomycosis, sporotrichosis, zygomycosis, and then pheohyphomycosis and rhinosporidiosis, and of course lastly lobomycosis. As you can see in this sequence, it's from the common to the rare part. And the last part of this book, of course, is on systemic fungal infections, which are not commonly seen in our country, but you can see it in people who are in ICUs and hospital settings. And one very common condition is histoplasmosis, where I have showed an image where I show the infection spreading to the body. This infection begins in the lungs and from the flora inside the body, and then it spreads to the whole body. Right, now come to the most important part of this book, which is actually the reason why I wrote this book. That is recalcitrant dermatophytosis. Now, I'm going to discuss in this book the determinants of this condition, why it happens. So, there are 7 or 8 common reasons for this problem. The one, of course, is the clinical type of corporis that you see. Number 2, probably the species and the types. The third, of course, is skin barrier integrity. Then host immunity, local host factors of the skin, the drug. I'm discussing the PKs and the PD values and the quality of drugs in this country. Then, of course, reinfections, persistence, then of course in vitro resistance, and the last topic, which is not very important actually, is antifungal use in agriculture causing dermatophytosis. The last part of this book, of course, is antifungal drugs, which is a very important part of this book. So I've given overview of all these books in a tabular form, so there will be boxes that you will see in this book chapter. And just a summary for people who are seeing this today, the safest overall antifungal is gracifolvin and terbinafine. The safest in pregnancy is gracifolvin and terbinafine again. The safest in renal dysfunction and in patients with liver dysfunction is fluconazole. The maximum bioavailability again is fluconazole. And remember that the weight-based therapy is to be given only in children. So if you're giving itraconazole, the dose is 3 to 5 mg per kg per day. If you're giving fluconazole, 6 mg per kg per day. Gracifolvin varying depending on the kind of gracifolvin you give. Terbinafine again is weight dependent, depending again on the weight. And so this is important to understand, because people in our country are giving antifungal drugs to adult patients according to body weight. That's incorrect. This was the important highlights of this book, and I thank you all for patient hearing. If you want to purchase my book, Fungal Infections, Diagnosis and Treatment, you can buy it online on Amazon or Flipkart. You can also contact the nearest FDC representative and he'll give you a book on request. Thank you very much and goodbye.